Can go on now. Anthony, is that okay?
Yeah, you can go on. It's okay.
I just want to remind everybody that we are talking about leading for Christ. In other words, you are a leader, but you are doing it for Christ. So that anything you do in your leadership, remember you are accountable to God. Even if the person you are leading is helpless, you can step on them, manipulate them, and there's nothing they can do. Remember, you are leading for Christ, and Christ does not require Vicheru, does not require reporters to go and report you. He can see the attitude of your mind, he can see the motivation of your heart, and he knows there is something wrong with it. That's the first thing we talked about in talking about servant leadership. Servant leadership is leading for Christ, and that's why it is distinctly a Christian thing. I just now want to concentrate, since we defined what servant leadership last time. Today I would just want to concentrate on how it works. And I'm going to quote quite a lot from Robert Greenleaf, who has written quite a bit about servant leadership, and I find his material very useful, even as we discuss it. My prayer is that you are going to find it useful. Servant leadership is a realistic philosophy which supports people who choose to serve first. That's really what we are talking about, serving first. And so when you talk about servant leadership, according to Greenleaf, we are talking about a philosophy of serving first. You know, your interest is, you still have a task to achieve, but you are both interested in the task and the people, not just about the task. You care what will happen to the person by the time you have achieved the task, and that's something that is that will be important. So we are therefore saying a servant leader is a realistic philosophy which supports people who choose to serve first and then lead as a way of expanding service to individuals and institutions. So when you talk about servant leadership, then you must be involved in the following. Number one, we are going to see you involved in collaboration. What's collaboration? You don't work on your own. You want to collaborate with others. You are working with others. A collaborator is a person who does not want to just be the one who will get the glory. It will be me and somebody else. We work with somebody else. Paul, in writing many letters, saying we are writing this one with Timothy. He is collaborating. So if you really are a kind of a person who wants to say, I'm self-made, I achieved this on my own, you can't be a servant leader. Collaboration is a key requirement for servant leadership. Number two, trust. You can't be a servant leader if you don't want to be trusted. You must be trustworthy. You encourage people also to become trustworthy, but you set the example yourself by being trustworthy. You do not tell me when I'm with you, you tell me this. Then behind my back, you say something else. No. It needs to be, I can trust you. I can trust you that when you go to the bigger office, you will not talk negatively about me. If there's something wrong with me, you'll tell me myself. By the time you are telling the boss of your boss, I know myself, I can trust you. Many supervisors will have one face to their subordinates, another face to the seniors. In the end, after some time, your boss might talk to him and say, you know, we of course, you're saying himself and your boss, we don't like the way you are behaving. And you wonder, but there's nothing wrong. I'm enjoying my work. We like each other with my supervisor. Kumbe, he actually went and reported something he hasn't told you himself. And that way he breaks trust. Of course, there are some certain things that are confidential, and you may have had them in the big office, but you're not allowed to tell the people you are working with. That's different, because that's a requirement of the organization not to share. But if it is something about me, please share with me. And I know that you're not happy with it. If I ever hear it again somewhere else, I know you already told me to improve in that area, and I'm working with it. That is what will be required if you are, and remember today we are talking about the practical ways of becoming a servant leader. It will be important that you yourself are trustworthy, that somebody can never doubt you. And even when you are told that this guy said, you can defend your supervisor because you know he can't do that. But for that time to arrive, it will take time for testing. People watch over you to be sure that they can trust you. Once you are like that, they also learn the importance of trust. Number 3, to be a servant leader needs foresight. This is somebody who thinks ahead. Because you may be assisting me to do something, but it's soon going to be out of place. Foresight means thinking ahead. Seeing, if I do this, this is what will happen. You know that some of us who are leaders are so taken up in the activity of the day, we don't sit back and say, if I succeed in what I'm doing, what will happen? We have not seen the end. You are a Sunday school teacher, you have not thought, if I teach the way I'm teaching, what this child as a manager, how will he be? This child as a future pastor, how will he do? Foresight is very common. That's why a servant leader will assist you directly, because he is thinking of you ahead of you. He is thinking about what you will become. He assists you such that what he is doing with you today will make better tomorrow for you. That will be the foresight. The 4th thing is, if you are a servant leader, you have a listening ear. My wife is a lecturer in communication, and she keeps saying, people are taught how to talk. They are not taught how to listen. And yet you can never be a good communicator until you are both good at talking and good at listening. You know, there are people who, when you are talking, they are thinking about what to tell you. They don't even hear you. And you can talk for 3 hours, but you have not achieved any congruence. You are not understanding each other. You cannot be a servant leader if you don't even know exactly what I want. You don't know whether what you are telling me is helping me or not. You must be willing to listen. Somebody said, God gave us 1 mouth and 2 ears. So we should listen double what we talk. A good servant leader will be known by listening. And you know, listening is one of the most important forms of loving. If you want your husband to say you love him, just listen to him. Because other people keep shorting him, cutting him short. Then he reaches to a girl who listens and listens. My friend, if you are dating such a girl, you are likely not to marry her, just because she can listen to you. And the same thing with a servant leader. You'll have a very, very good relationship with the people in your team if they know you listen to them. Listening is a critical requirement in servant leadership. Because remember, in servant leadership, you are assisting the people to accomplish the task. But your interest is such that because of your interest in the person, even the task will be well done. But how will you be able to help him to do the task if you don't listen to him? And the next one, the ethical use of power. A servant leader has the ethical use of power. They do not misuse power. Instead of misusing power, they empower people. They share out power with people. You know, when you are a servant leader, you do something. Next time you say, why don't we allow so and so to also do it? You have the right not to delegate, but you delegate. You are empowering the person. That means the day you are not available in the meeting, other people can run the meeting with you. You are sharing power. You are giving power to people. You are empowering them. Servant leaders do that. So that in a servant leader kind of organization, even if the leader gets sick, the task will still be done. Because he kind of makes himself replaced by the kind of way he runs the show. Things can run without him. That does not mean he is lazy. It does not mean he has no activity, but people know that he knows we are a group of co-equals. You know, in other words, he is an equal. He knows I can do his job. It's only for now he's the one doing the job. That's what we mean by servant, ethical use of power. You don't ever misuse power. One of the most dangerous things that happens with power is manipulation. You manipulate people by telling them this, then make them do this. And people can tell very easily you are manipulating them. That is misuse of power. And that's what Jesus, in the portion of scripture we read, it was in Matthew chapter 20, verse 25. That's exactly what Jesus is against. That is what those people are doing. the people of the world. That's the way they run their show, misusing power. If you're a servant leader, the way you use power is for the good of the people you are working with. So they don't see you as powerful, because they realize that power is for their own good and they are benefiting out of it. And I think that's an important thing for you to say. Servant leadership is at the heart of Christian leadership. You really cannot call yourself a Christian leader if you are not having servant leadership. All Christians, not just leaders, are called to be servants, serving each other, following Jesus' example when he was washing the disciples' feet, which we read last week, and loving our neighbors as ourselves. All these are things to talk about. How do you love your neighbor? By serving him, helping him. So servant leadership is being a Christian. You can't be a Christian, not serve others. And so when you become a leader, you just continue in the same format of serving others. And I think that will be important. What underpins servant leadership is the motivation behind our actions as leaders. So really, the two of us may do exactly the same thing, but my motivation is to assist people. Your motivation is to use them for your own glory. Now, so the two of us are different. So you need to go down to your motivation. This will require us also to set aside personal gain. We should not be leading for what we get out of it. We should be leading for finishing the task and for the good of the people attacking with us. Therefore, it will require us to make sacrifices, to give ourselves, do work beyond our required time, sacrifice, and put the needs of others above the direction that we may prefer for ourselves. In other words, there will be certain things you do, if, to be honest, you wouldn't have wanted them. But you can see it will be good for the team. So you do it for the good of the team, although if you are asked, you would have wanted to do it a different way. Your personality would push it this way, but for the good of the team, you do it their way. That requires sacrifice. And that's something that you need to ask yourself whether that's what you have. A servant leader does not waste time on a few things. Let's just see a few of them. We can tell you're a servant leader. Why? You don't turn on always seeking to live up to an image. I'm a tough guy. Just be yourself. Because you see, a servant leader is one with their people. He's not trying to create a face. He's not doing PR. He's not trying to create an image. He just wants to himself. He just wants them to work. All of them are agreed why they are working together, what they want to achieve. And he is assisting everybody to achieve it. There is no name or image. Because the moment you have an image to protect, if somebody treats you badly, you come on him like a ton of bricks. How can you talk to me? Don't you know I'm your senior? Now, why are you saying that? Because you are doing what my wife calls self-negotiation. You want people to think great about you. My friend, if you want to be a servant leader, you must allow Christ to protect your reputation. You must allow Christ to be the one who will create your name. And he is able to do it. So, but if you are too taken up in your image, you will not become a servant leader. Many people, a lot of quarrels in organizations are because the boss feels you don't respect him much. If you're not the subject, you'll never feel disrespected. You'll feel what you are interested in, are we doing the job well? Are we being able to accomplish to the glory of God what we came together for? Not, am I treated well? So, you are not seeking, you don't waste your time seeking to have an image. Number 2, you don't waste your time to constantly seek opportunities to sell yourself. I know we work together, but me, I've done this job elsewhere before. You are always trying to get people to know you are not like them. Or you are trying to know the whole organization to know you are special. Seeking opportunity to sell yourself. The truth of the matter is, if the Lord helps you to, with a team, to do a good job, everybody will know you are the best leader. They will all want to work with you. Selling yourself does not make you be bought. It is your activity and how you treat the staff, how you treat the people you are with, that will finally give you a name. So don't try to be proud. Sometimes people feel funny because you say, I'm the kind of a leader who never ever pulls anybody down. Why can't you allow them to say so? Because you see, they have been working with you. And a lot of times, the things we praise ourselves on are the ones where we are weak on, unfortunately. Because if you have a weakness, you tend to mention it. You tend to deal with it quite a lot. So don't sell yourself. Let the work. Kizuri cha, how do I put it? How do the Swahili? My Swahili is limited. Kizuri cha, oh, kizuri. Okay, kizuri cha jiuza. So just be good. Just be a good Christian. Just be a good servant. And you'll be bought. No, don't waste your time to be forever trying to read the political signals sent out by others to become politically correct. No. If you spend all your time trying to be politically correct, the task will not be done and people will know you are trying to manipulate them. Just don't start reading in political mood, Just love people. Just desire they are good. They will notice over time that you mean good. Don't spend all your time trying to be politically correct. Manipulation is complete opposite of the servant leadership that we are talking about. And I've talked about that quite a bit. People who are highly career-minded might never become them. They are too taken up in what they are going to achieve. People whose main motivation is to get themselves in a position where they will gain some reward or be noticed, they will find it very difficult to be someone. Remember, the motivation of a servant leader are three: to help the people they are working with to do their job in a better way, to help them to become better people, to help the organization to achieve its objectives, and to do all that in the glory of God. That's what a servant leader is all about. In the process, they may progress in their career. In the process, they may end up with a reward. But that's not really what it's all about. And that's something that we need to ask ourselves. So let me ask a question. Having said all that, what do servant leaders do? What do they actually do? Number one, they devote themselves to serving the needs of organizational members. I've kept repeating that. You are devoted to serving the needs of the members and the need of the organization. The task and the people doing the task. They are devoted to it. Number two, they focus on meeting the needs of those they lead. They find out, are you finding it okay? Is the car you have been allocated good? Or is it okay? Because your mind is taken up in thinking about the needs of others. Why are you interested in focusing on their needs? Because the more you need their needs, the more they will be able to do the task. And you are interested in the organization gaining. You are interested in glorifying God. But that will only happen when the people feel their needs are taken care of. If I don't think you are going to talk on my behalf for me to get a promotion or to get a salary increase, I'll start going to the boss myself. I'll start going to HR myself. But if I know you are talking on my behalf, I'll concentrate on the task because I know you are looking after my needs. You care about me. And that will be important. Number three, if you really are a servant leader, develop peers to bring out the best in them. You don't fear people who are equal, finally being promoted earlier than you. You know that promotion neither comes from the east, nor from the west. It comes from the Lord. And so you are committed, totally committed to helping even your peers. Next, the ones who are juniors, you coach them and encourage them to their self-expression. You coach people. Coaching is different from directing. Coaching is assisting, and coaching is not replacing, it's not doing their work. It's assisting them to do their work in a better way. That's what you mean by coaching. So servant leaders are coaches. The other word for a servant leader is a coach, because he is taken up with the needs of the people he is working with. And next, servant leaders facilitate personal growth in all who they are in contact with. I told you one of my pride are the people in my working career that I have helped. When I meet them and they are going places, I meet them, they are senior. It really makes me happy because I felt that's one thing that any opportunity to be a manager, to be a leader anywhere, I will look at are the people working with me going places. It may not happen when I'm there, but later it does. When I was in Kisumu, I don't know if I've given you this example before. When I used to be the manager in the 1980s, I was a share manager in Kisumu. Manager who looked after Kisii was one of my areas. I was in charge of the region, both in Nyanza province and Western province. We were supplying petroleum products in those regions. And I had a secretary. Then I could see, as the 80s were finishing, that every company was trying to reduce costs. I looked at the secretary, my secretary, a very good girl, and I told her, beyond being a secretary, it will be good to know something else within the operations, which you can do. She said, I'm a professional secretary. I can't do anything else. I said, if you could do, for example, be a cashier, in addition to being a secretary, it means that if they remove the job of secretaries, you would still be available because you are widening your scope. You are improving your CV. Says, Mr. Nganga, I'm not refusing, but I really have a problem with the figures. The secretary was not necessarily at my level, but I actually, when the cashier went on leave, I went to the cash office myself, sat with her, to work with her, to show her the job of a cashier is not that complicated. Of course, the first day she had difficulty. After some time, she proved very good. By the time the cashier comes back, my friend has become a good person, but he went back to being a secretary. After I left Kisumu, I was promoted, became the distributor manager for the whole country. So I was still looking after the depot in Kisumu. My friend, we decided to reduce manpower. We are automating, computerizing, and so we decided the job of the secretary, the manager should type for themselves. So the one who took over my job in Kisumu, we agreed they don't need a secretary. And there was a total organization, so we reduced manpower by a huge margin. About a third of the company left. Do you know something? My secretary could be both a secretary and a cashier. Was she made redundant? No. Many years later, even by the time I was retiring, she was still in the company. She was able to bring up her children. They finished university, became leader, and she was still there because she was multi-skilled. Of course, her salary never comes to me. I don't gain anything as a person. But I feel grateful to God that I was willing to bring myself to sit in a cash office to assist her. That's what we mean by servant leadership. It is, even when, because you could not see, of course, even me, I didn't know for sure. I did not know computers will come in such a big way. Because the computers came and changed the whole thing. Now we do not have secretaries, we have administrators. Because anybody can type for themselves. You can write to me, I can write to you. How does the secretary come? In those days, my secretary, I would draft or dictate. My secretary would type for me. Secretaries were in deep need or were required. But that has passed away. So I'm asking you as a leader, are you thinking about the future, the foresight, about the future of the people you're working with, what they can become in the future? Are you assisting them to become that into the future? That's what we are talking about. Facilitate personal growth. And finally, listen and build a sense of community. Do they feel they are one with you? Or do they feel like, the boss has come, it goes quiet? I think it will be important, very, very important, that you are able to, in your own mind, to think about the other people. That's what we mean by servant leadership. And that's why I'm happy you gave me this opportunity to go beyond where we went last week. Because you can see now there are proper details. So we have talked about listening. Building community means you are one with them. You don't stand aside. You don't take tea separate. You take tea with the people you are working with. You are one team with them. That way they are able to talk to you, they are able to share with you, and you listen to them. And you are able to guide them and assist them, which is a very important thing. If you're a servant leader, I want to emphasize that you also have integrity. You are actually not weak, but you are strong. You are a strong personality. When you are a servant leader, you have to have a very strong personality. For servant leaders, model integrity where their thoughts, words, and actions flow from consistent desire. How will people trust you when you have no integrity? The word integrity comes from the Latin word meaning whole. I think we said so when we are discussing character. Or complete. Or an integer, one whole number. One of the biggest reasons for leaders losing the respect of their followers is that they lack true integrity, where their private lives and thoughts do not match their public statements, or that they are inconsistent. And there are leaders like that, inconsistent, adopting principles that are popular and appropriate to for the moment, rather than sticking to their underlying and important, potentially unpopular principles. They always want to do, you become what somebody was asking the question, you become a man pleaser. A servant leader can never be a man pleaser, because he's always thinking about what will honor God, what will help organization, and how this will help the people. And he does it with integrity. Maintaining integrity is not always easy, but that's what a servant leader does. And it will be very important that you do that. But the way, as we go towards finishing, a servant leader is not a style of leadership. No, you can be all types of leaders and still be a servant leader. Rather, it relates to the motivation behind your leading. You can have a different leading style than me, but you are both servant leaders. It is the motivation behind your thoughts, words, and actions. Leaders can fit any leadership style and still be very much servant leaders. The important thing is, are they thinking about themselves or thinking about the people that they are working with? A common vision and shared value is what the servant leader is looking for. That everybody thinks about the same thing. One of the challenges of servant leaders is to ensure that their vision and principles are in line with others in the organization. And therefore, it is highly important for them to engage with others to develop a common vision and shared values. One of the ways you know a servant leader is that he doesn't tell you, he discusses with you. So you ask yourself, why does this Sunday school department exist? Why does this worship team exist? Why does this choir exist? And listen to everybody. Then they negotiate until they agree. What is their vision? When they have done their best, what do they expect to see? And that will be important. I now want to finish by just reading, I will not discuss them, but reading 10 principles that Greenleaf gives of servant leadership. You know, somebody called them Platt says, and I think it's important to just refer to Devereux L. Platt. True compassion compels you to act. When you love the people you're working with, you will certainly help them. Do subordinates matter? Do they have a contribution? That's the thing that will make you start listening. So, the first principle is listening. And I've spent quite a bit of time talking about that. The second principle is empathy. What is empathy? Empathy is not sympathy. Empathy is placing yourself in the shoe. If I was the one sweeping, how would I feel? If I was the one teaching Sunday school, how would I feel? That is what this servant leader is, empathetic, not just sympathetic. Number 3, he is involved in healing. You want to heal a person. Learning to heal is a powerful force for transformation and integration. One of the great strengths of servant leader is the potential for healing oneself and others. In the servant as a leader, Greenleaf writes, there is something subtle communicated to one who is being served and led if implicit in the compact between the servant leader and led is the understanding that the search for wholeness is something they both have. So you are seeking the healing of any weakness, like this person who is having the weaknesses. And it's not a character issue. It is that he is not very good in this. You will assist them. And if the one with a character issue, you will be trying, you don't want him to go to hell. You will be helping him to change his character by surrendering to the Lord Jesus Christ. Principle number 4 is awareness, general awareness, especially self-awareness. This is where we talk about emotional intelligence. And maybe Next time we will discuss emotional intelligence because I keep mentioning it. Emotional intelligence is the ability to understand your own emotions. Don't talk when you're angry. I'm angry. I shouldn't talk. You know your emotions. Or number two, to know the emotions of the people with. When you see somebody get angry, you understand when he is talking, that's not him. It is his anger. So you don't get angry because you know it was not him. It was his anger. You wait until his anger goes down. That's being self-aware and being other-aware. Is what you call emotional intelligence. A servant leader will listen to his own emotions, but also listen to the emotions of others. Number 5 is persuasion. Servant leaders are people who are good at this. And I think that will be very important. Servant leaders rely on persuasion rather than possessional authority in making decisions. Don't you know who is speaking? No. You are looking for a way of selling the idea until the person buys it and they do it willingly. Of course, there may be somebody who is rebellious, but you will have started the issue of persuasion. By the time you are giving threats, it will be the thing you do last. When you are saying you are crossing the boundary, you will have assisted them by persuading them. That's how you will be known. You are a man of, but boundaries must be there. But use persuasion to get people to keep to boundaries. And then number 6 is what we are calling conceptualization. Servant leaders seek to nurture their ability to dream great dreams. That's why we have kept talking about the power of foresight. The looking ahead, the ability to look at a quandary from a conceptualization perspective means that one must think beyond day-to-day realities. Always think about this is what I'm doing today, how will it be tomorrow? And like talking to this guy in Kisumu or this woman in Kisumu and trying to tell her a future could come when they could do redundancies and looking into the future. That's power of conceptualization. Anyway, generally, you can't be a leader without the power of conceptualization, thinking through. A leader is always paid to think, to conceptualize, to see things ahead. Number 7 is what I've been calling foresight, and I've talked about it quite a bit. Number 8 is understanding that a leader is a steward. And we have talked about this quite a bit. In all institutions was one of the CEO staff, directors and trustees, all play significant roles in holding the institution in trust for the good of society. In other words, you want to see your task is not your task. It's only allocated to you by somebody else whom you are reporting to. If you think this is my thing, I can do it with that. This is my son. I can beat him. Who are you to ask me what I did with my son? If you started understanding, like I've written in my book on stewardship, that your son is God's child allocated to you, then you'll be very careful how you treat your son because you're a steward. The same way with the people you work with. You have followers. You will see them as these followers have been allocated to me by God. God will hold me accountable on how I deal with them. Number 9, you are committed to growth of the people you are working with. Number 10, you build community, and I talked about it earlier. Sorry, I've taken quite a bit of time. I enjoyed the questions, so I want us to really have time to discuss. So it's time, the meeting is back to Anthony, if he is MC.
Thank you, our elder, for a very deep session in terms of understanding who a leader is, what leadership is all about. Thank you so much. We do appreciate for the time. We really are indebted in a way that we cannot be able to repay back. But then may the good Lord bless you. Maybe just a question that I could ask as we are almost coming to the end of the session. What will be the difference between leadership and responsibility? Maybe how will you look into it? How will you say the difference that exists between leadership and responsibility? Thank you.
Unfortunately, to me, they are the same. A leader is responsible for a task and a group of people. So they are not two different things. Leading is getting the responsibility that is beyond yourself. If you are responsible for something, most likely you are not responsible alone. You have been asked to do it with other people. So if you are responsible, then you need to lead people who are helping you to carry your responsibility. So when you say, unless of course you give it a new meaning, but if you mean a general responsibility, like Agri is responsible for the growth of the church in Kisi. Now that's a responsibility, but it's also at the same time leadership. So to carry such a big responsibility as planting a church in Kisi will require him to have a team of people. Now he is a leader, but he's also responsible. Both of them are the same person. The person responsible is the same as the leader. The leader is also responsible. I hope, Anthony, I have not misunderstood you.
Yeah, maybe I was trying to bring an aspect whereby you are a leader by virtue of maybe I'm leading maybe worship team. By the virtue of leading the worship team, I am a leader.
Yes.
But again, where you can actually exhibit a call in that ministry, like worship, and differentiating that with a responsibility being given because you're doing it, because from an aspect of I need to do it because it's my responsibility, and not really leading form of a calling. Thank you.
May I help you to rephrase the question? Your question is not about responsibility, it's about title. What's the difference between a leader and somebody with a title? Have I put it correctly?
Yes.
Yeah, so...
That to be it.
Yeah, and the truth of the matter is, many people with titles are not leaders. The senior pastor can ask you to be in charge of the choir, but you're not a leader. So basically, it's a burden, it's a duty. You are wishing for the day to be handed over to somebody else. But when you are a leader, you have a calling into it. So when the senior pastor asked you to become the leader of the choir, you did not see the senior pastor, you saw God. And by the time you are saying yes, you are not saying yes to the senior pastor, you are saying yes to God. So now you go into it because you are serving God. You go into it for the vision of why the choir exists. But somebody else who has just got a title will still be trying to do something, but he is unlikely to have the same commitment. People who are leaders by calling will even be involved even after the title has been removed. They don't require a title to be involved. So there are many people where the person with the title is not the leader. There is somebody else in the fellowship, in the same team, who is always doing the things you are talking about, assisting people, looking ahead. He is doing his work. He finishes his work and assists others to do their work. He is the leader because he is helping the team to go forward, but he doesn't have the title. Though I agree with you, Anthony, if that's now the question, I agree with you. The people can have the title, and when they have the title, they see it as a duty, and therefore they don't pull their weight, as opposed to somebody with a calling and is leading because he has a calling in the area.
Thank you, Elder. Another question is, how do you handle absentee leaders or leaders who only appear technically when needed?
Now, first of all, Anthony, you have to help me. Are you the senior pastor, or are you one of the church members, or part of the group? In that, because the answers will be different.
Okay.
Or I answer all of them.
You can answer that way, but the question is asking, how do you, this must be a pastor or concerning his leaders, or it could also mean a leader with his committee members. When you have a leader, you have a committee members. You can also be a pastor who have leaders. So he's saying, how do you handle absentee leaders who only appear technically when needed?
I'll say, if you are one of the committee members, and one of the committee members does not come regularly, I will recommend 3 things. Number 1, don't condemn them. Ask yourself, so-and-so agreed to come to the committee. How come they are not coming? Might they be having a problem? Number 2, befriend them. Buy them a cup of tea. Now, in COVID times, that's not quite common. Find a way of meeting them. Call them, whatever. Talk with them and say, how are you going through? What are the issues? We missed you last committee, and you are very important to us. You are very useful. He might tell you that what he's going through, you might even sympathize with him before condemning him. That's why he's absent, because of what he's going through. And what he's going through is not permanent, it's temporary. So you have start from now onwards as a member of the committee, you start covering for him, giving excuses, and assisting him out of whatever you are going through. Number 3, if somebody is like that and you are just a committee member, you need to talk to the supervisor just in case he actually already knows why the person does not come. However, if you are the chairman and one of the committee members is the absentee one, you have more responsibility, but the style is still the same. Don't condemn. Start imagining there must be a very good reason. Number 2, find out what he could be going through. Don't start reporting him to the senior pastor. Hey, you know so-and-so never comes. My friend, you might hear something that will make you even want to cover him up. So find out what is it going through. If you discover he is not interested, make it easier for him to leave. Because you can see clearly he has other gifts and he was put in the wrong place. Now, if that is the issue, you can find a way of ask him, how can I assist you? So that you don't feel under pressure. Of course, if he is being rude and backsliding, again, there is another way of dealing with him. However, if you are the person in charge, you can't allow it to go on. For example, he's the chairman of the committee, you appointed him, and he does not turn up. You can't allow it. Remember, if you're a servant leader, you'll be coming to the committee once in a while and joining the committee to be there. You can see how people are. In the process, you're having found why this chairman does not turn up for his committee meetings. You start organizing how to replace him or how to assist him. You can't ignore it, because when the task finally fails, you are a part of the failure. So if you are in a position to help and there's an absentee leader, you must assist him to become better, or you must assist him to remove him out of the responsibility.
Thank you, Elder Nganga. Thank you for those sentiments. I believe most of us, and maybe most of us here, have been blessed by the session today. Those are the 2 questions I have received so far, and we want to really appreciate. So much. I've learned a lot. I've learned for the patients, even for the members. You know, I was just saying it from yesterday all through today. We've been on sitting all through online sessions and online programs, and so I want to appreciate even the entire team, the media team. Kudos, and even the others on board. May God bless you. So I want to welcome our pastor also to be able to give a vote of thanks and also to do the benediction. Thank you, Pastor So. Pastor So is there.
He's around. I'm just trying to unmute him so that he can unmute.
Okay, thank you very much, our brother Wambura and the rest of the team. Once again, let me just express my appreciation to our Elder Nganga, and perhaps Elder Nganga, if you think my face is strange, not at all. We interacted in 2014, 2015 at Stitam Kiserian.
Wow, I remember you. You ended up in Kisii.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So actually, Elder Nganga has been assisting many churches across in every part. So is not that he has to use him, even through his wide experience